Hi, I am Marius from Head Photography, and welcome to the third and final video on these Photon Studio lights. Now I do apologize for my voice as I am still recovering from the flu. Now in this video we are going to look at how to sync these lights to your camera, so that when you press the shutter button on the camera it also sets off your lights. Then we are going to look at the settings that you need to apply on your camera to get the best and correct exposure. And then we are going to look at some basic setups so that you know how to position your lights. Now with studio lighting there is a lot of information and we can't cover everything in just a 10 or 20 minute video, so we are only looking at the basics. If you find that you are still struggling and you want to learn more, we do offer one-on-one training sessions in the Cape Peninsula. So if you would like to have more information about this, please contact me at the details below and I will get back to you if it's via email with more information about these training courses. Now we need to sync our lights and our camera and everything together so that when you press the shutter button, all your flashlights will go off. Now let's first look at the light. If I go and I press the power button on here, you'll see this green light coming on and you could hear that beep sound. Now that's telling me that this light is ready and powered up and ready to fire. So when I press the test button, you can see the flash go off, the light goes away, it makes a beep sound, comes back on telling me it's ready to fire again, it has recycled. Press it again, flash goes off, same thing. Now you might not always see that flash go off, and the reason is that the flash is firing so fast and the camera can't always keep up with the video footage trying to actually capture it. So here and there you might not always see it go off. So now I want this light to also fire when this one fires. So I'm going to turn the power on here. And as you can see, same green LED light coming on. And I've got two different power settings on these two lights. And the reason is that I want there to be a split second difference between those peeps, so that you can see both the lights are working and basically both of them are firing. Now you'll notice I've only got the AC power leads here. I've got no other connections between the two lights to make them basically to make this one trigger when this one goes off. But when I press the test button, you can see both green lights go off. You can hear the two peeps. I'm going to do it again. Now I've pressed the test button, both lights are firing. Now the freaky thing is I can press this test button and both lights are firing. So the cool thing is built into these heads are built-in slaves which work with light. So when I fire this one, this light will pick up the light coming from this one. So this happens. The light goes off, that one picks it up and fires at the exact same time. So there's no lag in your light, it syncs perfectly. When I press this test button, this light that fires will trigger this light. Now it's important that both lights can see each other. For instance, if you are using the accessories that I showed in the previous video, sometimes if you're firing from, if you maybe have the unit that's going to connect to your camera, which I will show in a few seconds, connected to that light, and it's a very narrow beam of light, the light that's coming from that accessory might not be enough to trigger the other two lights you've got. So just make sure you put the wireless triggers I'm going to show you now on the correct flash, so that the light that fires is enough to set off all the other lights as well. If you don't have, if you run into that problem, you can, if you're working with very little amounts of light for very dramatic pictures, you can just plug in a different connector on all of these sync ports, and I'm going to show you how that looks like in a few seconds. So that's basically how you can sync the lights together. It does it basically automatically. You must just make sure the lights see each other. So now let's look at how to connect it with the camera. Now we need to sync the camera to the flashlight, and there are various ways of doing this. For instance, you can plug a cable in here and you can plug it into your camera, and you've got a wired connection between the camera and the flash. But I don't like working with cables. So we've already got it that these lights have got built-in slaves, so there's no cables between them. So rather have that same workflow of no cables. So I'm going to recommend this set, which is the Cactus version 4 wireless triggers. Now they are below 800 Rand. You can see a link below of the price at this moment. Now, if you haven't seen these units before, you can also watch the other video that I've got on the Head Photography YouTube channel. It's called Off Camera Flash Part 1, and it talks about these units. And the reason I'm recommending them is you can dual purpose with these. So you can use them for your studio lights and you can also use them for off-camera flash. So instead of putting the flash on the camera right here on your hot shoe, you've got a hot shoe on the unit right here. So you just put your flash in here and you can move the flash around. It doesn't need to be on the camera. So look into that video if you find it interesting. So this will also give you more use than just having a cable or buying something specifically for this. Now what we need to do is to just connect a cable to it. So there's a little port right there. I plug it into that, and then I plug it into here, and I can just hang it over here. And I'm just going to turn this unit on. There's a little switch on the cactus receiver, and then I can turn the power on this light. Now this goes on the camera's hot shoe. So now when we press the shutter button, it sends a signal from the camera through this unit to this unit, which then obviously triggers this. So now I can either press the button here, or I can press this test button on top of the unit. It will do the exact same thing. So when I press the button, you can see the light goes off. It's recycled, press the button, light goes off. It syncs it perfectly, and again, no wires. So now I can turn this light on, and when I press the button, both of them will go off. So this is setting the signal to here, and then obviously the light that goes from here is triggering this one. And if you've got the third light on as well, it will then trigger all three lights. So this is how we can get the connection between this. So next we're going to look at the settings on the camera. So let's look at the settings on the camera. We are going to keep things basic. So let's first start with the shutter speed. You need to know that your camera has got a sync speed, and that is usually around 200 to 250 of a second. And if you go over that, you're going to get these black bars appearing on your image. So to be on the safe side, because I know a lot of different people are going to be watching this and doing this on their different brands and models of cameras, so it might be a different sync speed. So to be on the safe side, select a shutter speed of 1/25 of a second and keep it there. Do not change your shutter speed. It will not change the brightness of your flash units. So just leave it there and you know your shutter speed is taken care of. So it's 1/25 of a second for the shutter speed. The aperture you can start with at say f8, that'll be fine. And then the ISO can be around 200, and your white balance is very crucial. Now the white balance is the temperature of your lighting. So if your white balance is not set correctly, you'll notice the skin tones doesn't look natural on your images. Now we are going to be using flashes, so tell the camera that. So go to the white balance setting on the camera and then select a white balance of flash. You'll see that little lightning icon on your camera. Now we come to the very important part. I now gave you the settings you can start with, but in what mode must you be shooting? And that is manual. So you go to your M on your camera, the manual settings,